Hey, it's Mr. Isbell. So we've decided that you can only drive about 500 miles a day comfortably, and some of these legs or some of the distance between these different locations is more than 500 miles. Well, how do I know that? I can click the three dots here next to directions from Blytheville, Arkansas to dot dot dot. So if I click on this, the bottom option is step-by-step directions. If I click on this, it's going to tell me. So this is my total trip. So this is the total miles, 2,751 miles. And this is driving nonstop. Like the car does not ever stop, leave the road. It drives continuously. It would take one day, 15 hours and 54 minutes to go from A to B, B to C, C to D, and then from D back to A. But I want to see how much it is from each location, from A to B, from B to C, and then C to D, and D back to A. So if you scroll down, it says from A, underneath A, it has 461 miles. That's from A to B. So from Blytheville to New Orleans is okay. That's less than 500 miles. Can do that in one day. But if I scroll down underneath B, this is now it says 639 miles. So that means from B to C, it's going to be more than 500 miles. So that means I'm going to need to add another stop between B and C. I'm going to go ahead and check between C and D now. So scroll down. So underneath C, it says from C to D is 759 miles. So that's going to need another stop. And I'm pretty sure between D and back to A, it's going to need another stop. I'm going to scroll down. Yeah, definitely. That's the longest one. From Virginia back to Blytheville is 893 miles, 13 hours. That's way too many miles, so I'm going to have to add another stop in between there. So I'm going to close this little window out. So what you're going to need to do is kind of look at your map and decide, is there a good location in the middle where I could stop and break up my travel time? So A to B was okay, so I'm going to look from B to C. So I'm going to drag this. You can actually zoom in at the bottom right corner of your map. You can zoom in. Okay. And I can look and see, okay, from New Orleans to Orlando, is there anything in the middle that looks interesting? Okay. Well, Tallahassee's right off the road, so maybe that's a good stopping point. Maybe Mobile, Alabama. I could go to the beach there. I don't know. I'm just going to use Tallahassee. So what you're going to do, at the bottom of your trip, it says add destination. So I'm going to hit add destination. I'm going to type Tallahassee. It pops up Tallahassee, Florida. Okay. And it puts it at the bottom of the list. So what it's telling me now, it's telling the map that I'm going to do my whole road trip, and then when I get to Blytheville, I'm going to drive to Tallahassee. And that's not what I want. I want it to be in between New Orleans and Orlando. So I'm just going to click and drag up Tallahassee until it's in between New Orleans and Orlando. Okay, so now it's changed C from Orlando to Tallahassee. So now it's telling me that I'm from New Orleans, I'm going to go to Tallahassee, and then from Tallahassee, I'll go to Orlando. So I need to do the same thing between Orlando and Jamestown. So I'm going to look at my map. So it looks like Jacksonville is on the map, but that's really close to Orlando. I want it to be closer to the middle. Looks like Savannah's right off the road. So I'm going to use Savannah. So I'm going to hit add destination, Savannah, Georgia. And I need to drag Savannah so that it's in between Orlando and Jamestown. Okay. Now, if you make a mistake like I did, that's all right. You can keep dragging stuff around until it's in the right spot. It's kind of slow sometimes. You have to be kind of patient with it. So I'm going to drag Blyville back down. Okay, so that looks right. So from Orlando, we'll go to Savannah and stop, and then from Savannah up to Virginia. Okay, so now the longest one was between Virginia back to Blyville. It looks like it goes right through the middle of Knoxville, and Knoxville looks like it's pretty much in the middle there. All right, so I'm going to hit Add Destination, do Knoxville, Tennessee. Give it a second, let it add. I'm going to drag it up between Jamestown and Blyville. Okay. So this is my modified road trip. So I've got different stops, and then you might want to just make sure that I'm not going to go over 500 miles. If you go a little bit over, like a couple of miles, that's all right. That's no big deal. If it's like 600 miles, I would say that's way too much. All right, so 461 from Blyville to New Orleans. From New Orleans to Tallahassee is 385. From Tallahassee to Orlando is 259. From Orlando to Savannah is 280. Then Savannah up to Jamestown is 486. That's fine. From Jamestown to Knoxville is 495. That's a pretty good estimate if I'm trying to hit 500 miles. And then from Knoxville back to Blyville is 400 miles. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask.